Okay, how many of you are saying to yourselves, oh no, not another safety program? Well, I have to confess that yes, this is another safety program. But this time we're not going to tell you how to do your job. We realise that you're skilled people, so we're not going to try and teach our grannies how to suck eggs. No. In this program we'd like to talk about two things: time and things that are out of the ordinary. Now those might sound like a strange subject for a safety program, but time is a key factor in safety. The trouble is that we never think we have enough time. At work there's always another task screaming at you to be done. You've got stuck in traffic, so what time you did have is now gone, and there's another appointment waiting for you when you've finished. The pressure seems relentless. It may be that you need to get home to take your youngest to football practice, or there's that hot date you've been planning for weeks. There's always something that means you have to press on, get finished. The last thing you want to hear is someone telling you to spend more time to stop and think about hazards, risks or safety. That's just going to waste time, especially when you already know the dangers and you know what safety precautions to take. Or do you? This brings me to the second point I mentioned, things that are out of the ordinary. We know you can do your job safely. That's what you've been trained to do. But every situation is different. Even familiar tasks that you've done 1,000 times before in environments that you've been to every day for the last 10 years change from moment to moment. Someone might have spilt something. There could be a trailing lead. It doesn't have to be anything dramatic. It just needs to be something that's slightly different from the norm, something you haven't taken into account. So, taking a few valuable seconds to assess the risks in every situation for every task, every time, is all it takes to prevent an accident. We all know what risk assessment is. We all perform it every day of our lives, every time we cross the road. For most of us, it's an automatic thing to do because over time we've learned to recognise hazards that could harm us or others. But there are times when we don't spot the hazards, and that's when we put ourselves and others in danger.
There was no time to think really. I couldn't jump or anything. One minute I was at the top of the ladder, the next minute I was on the ground, and my arm had landed onto the ladder across the two staves of the ladder, and the log that I'd pushed off dropped and went straight through my arm.
As I'm taking one box out, so the traffic warden doesn't boot me because I'm on double yellow lines, I trip. And I fall into the road. It's just that split second when you're thinking, oh my God, I'm falling into a road. And a car's coming the other way. Luckily, he sees me falling. He swerves, but catches my shoulder and dislocates my shoulder. I bang my head on the car and fall onto the road. Now, I was very lucky, I think. It could have been a lot worse. But you don't think that while you're lying in the road and you're in agonising pain. It's only later you think, that was lucky, really.
Reached up, got the duvet down, and just saw a cobweb in the corner. So I came down the stool, got a feather duster, went back up the stool, reached to get the cobweb, and that's when the stool, it just went straight back. It never wobbled, it just literally went straight back. And I went sideways and enormous crash. My legs got ravelled in the stool and tremendous pain. Knew I'd really done something serious to the leg.
The thing is, accidents happen because we can become too confident. Familiarity breeds contempt, as the saying goes. Identifying a hazard is common sense, but not always common practice. Even though much of the time taking precautions is automatic, we do it without thinking. It's often because we don't think that accidents happen.
I knew I'd broken it straight away. Went to hospital and they confirmed that I'd broken the radius and the ulnar straight through. And it was kind of bent up really, so you kind of knew. And I had to go straight into surgery, and they basically cut my arm open. Cut one on this side, bolted in a metal piece in there, and then across here as well, and there's another piece of metal in there. Needless to say, it was very, very painful.
I got my head in the roof space, and I was just about to pick the drill up. I got it rested on the side, and what I hadn't realised is that there was an adjoining door to another office. And of course one of the young ladies came in, hadn't got any idea what was going on, and I suppose she must have seen me up the ladder, and that was all fairly obvious. And she of course walked in and tripped on the cable that I'd just plugged in, that I'd let everybody know about. But the worst thing is that initially I was okay, but when she tripped on the wire, it pulled the drill off, and it's a proper heavy-duty professional drill. And the poor chap that was sat just sort of off from my area, it came off, bounced on the ladder, sort of moved over about 2 or 3 feet, heaven knows how, and caught him right on the shoulder, clipping his ear quite badly on the way down as well.
I hadn't noticed that the floor was quite wet, where somebody spilt tea or coffee, which often happens, and it's rarely wiped up. And as I turned round, I must have slipped on it, dropped the mug smashed, my feet went from under me, I don't know how, and I landed full force on a piece of broken mug, which actually sliced right into my thumb quite deeply and slashed a tendon. And even now, after quite a bit of extensive physio, I still haven't got the use of my thumb back properly.
Every year, 4 million people are hurt at work. That's roughly around 1 in 10 of the British workforce. Think about how many people you know have had an accident at work. It costs Britain over 16 billion a year, and it costs the individual a lot of pain and discomfort. What makes these statistics more startling is that 90% could have been avoided if people had just stopped to think and keep an eye out for things which were different or unusual. Of course, not all these accidents were the fault of that particular individual. They may well have been doing everything correctly. And the accident may have been the result of someone else's oversight. But just imagine for a second how you would feel if you seriously injured one of your friends or colleagues because you didn't take the time to stop and consider the hazards. Makes you think, doesn't it? Here's something else to think about. There's also a financial cost to every accident, no matter how minor. At one end of the scale, it may be a disruption to customer service. At the other end of the scale, the legal implications for individuals who cause accidents through negligence can be far-reaching, and in some cases, it's even led to a prison sentence. That's why taking just a few moments to think about what you're doing makes good sense. And that's what this training package is all about. It's to help you work smarter, not harder.